Before the pyramids, before the Romans, before the Greeks, there was one civilization so advanced, so ridiculously ahead of its time, that without them, you wouldn't even be watching this video right now. Let me introduce you to the Sumerians. Picture this, it's roughly 6,000 years ago. Most of the world is scattered and tribes of hunter-gatherers are just trying to survive. But somewhere between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in what is today the country of Iraq, something extraordinary starts to happen. This region was called Mesopotamia, which literally means the land between the rivers in ancient Greek. And what was interesting about those two rivers? They flooded every single year, leaving behind incredibly rich, fertile soil for the people who figured out how to farm it, and the Sumerians absolutely did. It was basically a cheat code for civilization. Around 4500 BCE, small farming villages in southern Mesopotamia started growing. People weren't just surviving anymore, they were thriving. They grew wheat and barley. They raised cattle, they fished the rivers, and as the food supply got more reliable, something totally new happened. People had free time. And you know what happens when humans have free time? They get creative. Those little villages slowly merged and grew into what historians call city-states, basically. Fully functioning cities with their own governments, their own laws, their own economies. Cities like Eridu, Uruk, Yor, and Nippur. By around 3500 BCE, the city of Uruk had somewhere between 50,000 and 80,000 people living in it. To put that in perspective, that was the largest city on the entire planet at the time. The Sumerians weren't just a civilization, they were the civilization. So today, I want to share with you 5 things you didn't know about the Sumerians. Here's where it gets really wild, because these 5 facts about the Sumerians are facts that most people have absolutely no idea about. Fact number 1, they invented writing, like all writing. Before the Sumerians, nobody was writing anything down. The Sumerians invented the world's first known writing system around 3200 BCE. They called it cuneiform. Wedge-shaped symbols pressed into clay tablets using a reed stylus. And here's the kicker, they didn't invent it for poetry or literature. They invented it to keep track of business transactions, such as grain deliveries, livestock counts, and tax records. Basically, the first thing humanity wrote down was a receipt. Very relatable. Fact number 2, they had a full legal system long before anyone else. You've probably heard of Hammurabi's code, right? That's usually called the world's first law code. But guess what? The Sumerians beat that by hundreds of years. The Code of Ur-Nammu, written around 2100 BCE, was the world's first written legal code. It included laws about wages, marriage, slavery, and even medical malpractice. The Sumerians were suing each other 4,000 years ago. Honestly, not much has changed since then. Fact number 3, they invented beer. Yes, really. One of the oldest written documents ever found is a Sumerian poem honoring Ninkasi, the goddess of beer, and it literally contains the recipe for making it. The Sumerians brewed beer from fermented barley bread, and it was a huge part of daily life. Workers were often paid in beer. Even children drank a weak version of it because the water wasn't always safe. So the next time someone cracks open a cold one, pour a little out for the Sumerians. Fact number 4, they had a 60-second minute and a 60-minute hour. Have you ever wondered why there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour? That is 100% the Sumerians' fault. They used a base 60 number system called sexagesimal, and it worked so well for astronomy and timekeeping that we still use it today thousands of years later. Your phone alarm, your microwave timer, your watch, all of them are running on Sumerian math. Fact number 5, they may have written the world's first superhero story. Long before Marvel or DC, the Sumerians were telling epic adventure stories. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written around 2100 BCE, is one of the oldest pieces of literature ever discovered. It follows a king named Gilgamesh who goes on insane quests, fights monsters, searches for immortality, and even survives a great flood. Sound familiar? Many scholars believe parts of Gilgamesh's story directly influenced the stories later written in the Bible. The Sumerians were doing cinematic universe storytelling before it was cool. So what did the Sumerians left? Why does any of this matter to you right now in the modern world? Because the Sumerians aren't just ancient history. They are literally everywhere in your daily life. You just don't see it. The wheel, the Sumerians are credited with its first practical use. Around 3500 BCE, the concept of schools, Sumerian children attended institutions called Edaba or tablet houses to learn writing and mathematics. Astronomy, they mapped the stars and identified several constellations we still use today. Mathematics, beyond the base 60 system, they developed early multiplication, division, and geometry, tools engineers still build on. The concept of government, elected councils, kings, bureaucracy, taxation, all of it starts here. Every time you check the clock, learn something in school, or drive a car, you're living in a world that the Sumerians helped build from scratch. So how did the first civilization known to us collapse? Like all great civilizations, the Sumerians didn't last forever. By around 2000 BCE, cracks started appearing. A devastating drought hit the region and destroyed harvests for decades. The Sumerians had overfarmed their land for so long that the soil had become salty and unproductive, a problem they basically created themselves through over-irrigation. Food shortages led to instability, political infighting, and weakened city-states. Then came the Amorites from the west and the Elamites from the east, two powerful outside forces who took advantage of a civilization already crumbling from within. The last great Sumerian city, Ur, fell around 2000 for BCE. The Sumerian people didn't vanish overnight. Many were absorbed into the new Babylonian Empire that rose in their place. But Sumerian as a spoken language gradually died out, surviving only in written religious and scholarly texts, much like Latin does today. The Sumerians gave us writing, law, math, timekeeping, schools, and beer, and most people have never heard of them. If that's not the definition of underrated, I don't know what is. So this is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video and gained a new insight into the Sumerians. If you want more videos about the civilizations that secretly shaped our world, hit subscribe because we're just getting started. See you in the next one.